In this video, I'm going to go over a system that you can use as an athlete to reach peak performance in your sport. Hey there, I'm Eli Strawman, a performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. When we are wanting to reach peak performance, we are looking at this on a game-by-game basis. So this system is put in place to help you reach your peak, right? Reach peak performance come your next game. And so it's broken into three different parts: physical preparation, mental preparation, and then getting into the right mindset for the game. Now, I'm going to cover those three areas or those three parts here in a second. But what I would like to discuss first is what can keep you from reaching peak performance. And what's going to keep you from reaching peak performance will be mental game challenges, with the first one being sports performance anxiety. If you are experiencing a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety before you play, that's going to be something that holds you back from reaching your peak. The next one's going to be the fear of failure. If you are playing with a lot of fear, you will be playing to avoid mistakes, right? Because you are afraid of making mistakes, which once again will cause you to hold yourself back and you won't be performing up to your peak. Another mental game challenge is perfectionism. If you go into the game thinking, I have to play perfectly, we know that that's going to hold you back, number one, because you'll be playing with too much stress trying to play perfectly. But then also, if you do make a mistake, you'll end up losing your composure quicker because you aren't perfect since you made that one mistake. And then the last mental game challenge is self-doubt. If you are doubting yourself, if you're questioning your ability, you will not be playing as confidently and as freely as you would like to be. Now, this system that you want to put in place is going to help you manage any of those mental game challenges, but then it's also going to help you generate the mindset that you want to compete. Now, if you are interested in learning more about one-on-one coaching to help you manage any of the mental game challenges that I just mentioned, I've put a link to that in the description below. So the first part of this system is physical preparation. Physical preparation is going to help you reach peak performance because number one, physical preparation makes sure that your skills are finely tuned. And number two, physical preparation makes sure that your body is primed to compete. So when we're looking at physical preparation in lead up for a game, we want to look at it as, you're physically preparing your skills. So your physical skills, you're fine-tuning your mechanics, you're making sure that muscle memory is where you want it to be. But you also want to make sure that you are physically preparing in the sense of rest, recovery, making sure that your body is as healthy as possible in order to go out there and to play your best. So what I always recommend for the athletes that I work with is that you have a set training plan in place. You want to make sure that this set training plan goes along with what your coach is having you do, but you want to make sure that it is also covering, anything that you need to be doing in physical preparation for the game. This might mean that you want to make sure that you are eating correctly throughout the week. You want to make sure that you are resting and doing some stretching on your own outside of team practices. You also might have some drills that you want to do outside of your team practices to give you that extra confidence in your physical skills come game time. Physical preparation is so important because, you need to be prepared physically in order to play your best. It will be very unlikely that you'll reach peak performance if you are not physically prepared and if your body is not primed to play. But also this has an added benefit when it comes to getting into the right mindset to compete, as I'll discuss a little bit later. But that added benefit is going to be, it's tough for us to trust our skills if we haven't put in the proper work and the preparation to work on fine-tuning those skills. So first and foremost, you need to make sure that you are physically prepared to compete. Next comes mental preparation. Now, mental preparation can be more difficult than physical preparation to know exactly what you can do because physical preparation is a lot more straightforward for us, right? We know, okay, I need to physically prepare by doing this drill and that drill, making sure that I'm eating correctly, making sure that I am resting enough throughout the week, stretching, doing all those different things. But what exactly does it mean to mentally prepare for competition? Well, when we mentally prepare, we are once again trying to achieve two different goals. The first goal is you want to get yourself as confident and calm as possible come game time. The second goal is you want to mentally prepare for your opponent. Now, when you mentally prepare for your opponent, that's going to feed back into your confidence, but this is where you're doing mental preparation in terms of research, study, watching film, going over, your game plan and your strategy. This is something that I work on a lot with athletes in one-on-one coaching because the more that they can understand their opponent, the more they'll be able to figure out how they need a game plan for their opponent. And if they feel like they have a great game plan, again, they're going to be able to trust that game plan more, so they'll be able to trust the process and be more present when they do compete. Now, the other side of this is using mental training tools to help build confidence and help calm your mind as the game is approaching. This is where we use tools like visualization, mindfulness meditation, a self-talk routine, things like that, to help generate the right mindset when it comes to game time. So physical preparation and mental preparation are all about the days leading up to the game. Now, this is something that you want to be doing on a regular basis, because if you're in the middle of the season, you might be playing multiple times a week. So you want to make sure that on a daily basis, if you are not competing, right? So if it's not game day, you are doing what you need to do to prime your body and to prime your mind for that upcoming game. If you stay consistent with mental preparation and physical preparation throughout the season, you are giving yourself a greater chance of reaching peak performance on game day. Now, the last part of this is getting into the right mindset to compete. And this is where we look at your pregame routine, things you do the night before the game, but then especially what you do on game day to generate the right mindset to go out there, to let go, play freely, play confidently, and ultimately reach your peak within your sport. Now, what does it mean to get into this right mindset? Well, that's going to vary from player to player based on your personality. However, there is always an underlying principle of letting go of the outcome, right? So letting go of the stress and the worry about what the result will be and allowing yourself to play freely. I've never worked with an athlete, and I don't even think I've read about or come across an athlete who has reached their peak, right? Played their best without playing freely. And what I mean by playing freely is that you are not playing timidly. You are not holding yourself back. You're not playing solely to avoid mistakes. You're letting yourself compete. You're letting yourself play confidently. You're taking all those skills you know you have and just letting yourself go out there and do what you know how to do and show off your talent. That's what we want to be able to do on game day, because to be able to reach your peak on game day, you cannot be trying to over-control. You cannot be trying to overthink. You can't be playing with fear, playing with anxiety like I mentioned earlier. You have to be able to let go and play freely. So you want to try to get into this mindset that allows you to do that on game day. Now, the reason that I said this is going to vary from player to player is because we know we want to get you to the point where you can let go, play freely, play confidently. But the way you need to think, what you need to be focused on in order to let go, right, in order to play freely, is going to be based on yourself and your personality. For example, I remember working with this one running back who really liked to focus on proving somebody else on the other team wrong. So a lot of times he would try to figure out a reason to be mad at the other team that would help him get into this nice aggressive attitude, and then he would go out there and play confidently, play freely, because he was trying to prove the other team wrong, and he had a little chip on his shoulder, right, and he was angry. Now, I've worked with a lot of other players who are pretty much the exact opposite, right? And so I remember this one softball player who I worked with where she had to just be focused on being relaxed, having fun, and enjoying the time with her teammates. Because when she was able to do that, then she was able to go up to the plate, swing freely, swing confidently, and she ended up playing much better. So that right there shows us the main difference, right? We can have one player who's angrier, right, focused on proving the other team wrong. Then we have this other player who is just enjoying themselves, having fun and relaxed. But both players are reaching peak performance because they understand the way they need to think and what they need to focus on in order to reach peak performance. So this last part of the system is that you want to get yourself to the point where you can play freely and confidently during games, where you're not holding yourself back due to fear or worry. But how you end up getting yourself to that point will be based on you and your personality. And then an exercise that I always like to recommend to try to figure out, well, what is this mindset? What is this personality mindset that I need to have? Is going to be to go back and think of some really good games you've played. And now start to examine some different characteristics and qualities of your mindset during those good games. Try to pull some qualities that you can then replicate and then focus on those things moving forward. For example, with that running back, when we were thinking about good games he's had, there was always this underlying, idea of, I'm angry at the other team for some reason. I had something to prove. So then that gave us the idea of, okay, you need to try to focus on that moving forward. And I did the same thing with the softball player, and I've done the same thing with all the different players and all the different athletes that I've worked with. But the bottom line is, reaching peak performance for a game is not an accident. It is the result of physical preparation, it's the result of mental preparation, and then it's the result of knowing what mindset you want to get into in order to compete your best, and then working to get into that mindset during the game. And circling all this back to the physical preparation, one of the reasons that physical preparation is key is because in order for you to let go and play freely, you have to be able to trust in yourself. It is difficult to trust in yourself if you have not put in that work in order to do so. So make sure that you're mentally prepared for the game, make sure you're physically prepared for the game, and then when it comes to competing, try to get into that right mindset to compete, and that's how you'll be reaching peak performance within your sport. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. And if you're interested in any of the sports psychology programs I have available, I've put links to those in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.